welcome to Escape with Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the new Watchdives WD7922. I received this watch for free. I don't have to send the watch back, but you guys know the deal by now. It's not going to sway my review one way or another. I'm never going to hold anything back for these reviews. And if by the end of this review you do want to pick one of these up, I'm going to be leaving a link down in the video description that takes you right to the Watchdives website. I highly suggest going through Watchdives. It's usually cheaper and they offer faster shipping and better warranty and all that stuff. That link down below, that is an affiliate link. You guys aren't going to pay any extra, but I will earn a little bit of commission on the sale, which helps keep the channel running. I'm also going to leave this code here, Escape10. That's $10 off a $150 purchase. Obviously, it won't work on this one since it's under $150, but if you're buying multiple watches, then yeah, this one will work. So like I mentioned, this is under $100 US currently. Retail price for this watch is $119 US. That's before any taxes, sales, coupons, or anything like that. But as always with Watchdives early on in their releases, they offer instant discounts this time for $25 off. So yeah, under $100 US for this currently. The watch is offered in 4 different colorways that you can see here, and I think they all look really good. The only main difference to consider is the blue dial has BGW9 lume, and all the other ones have that kind of faux patina or C3 superluminova. The watch case is made of 316L stainless steel. It has a sapphire crystal, an aluminum bezel insert, a screw-down crown, screw-down case back, 200 meters of claimed water resistance, and the watch is powered by the Seiko VH31 sweeping quartz movement. So we have been getting some of these smaller divers as of late from brands like San Martin and Chronos. Those watches are great watches. And then Watchdives, they kind of came out of nowhere and released this one. How good can it be for half the price, probably less than half the price of those other watches? I say we dig in and let's find out. But before we do, doing a quick wrist check, again, wearing my Hamilton Khaki Field Limited Edition Nano Universe. All right, first things first, as always, the dimensions. A bezel diameter of 38 millimeters, case thickness of 11.5 millimeters, 20 millimeter lug width, lug to lug of 45.5 millimeters, and sized up for my 7.5 inch wrist with one link removed. It weighs about 123 grams. So I really do like the size on this. 38 millimeters at the bezel. The case is slightly smaller at 37 millimeters. Very manageable lug to lug. That thickness, 11.5 millimeters, is amazing, incredible for a diver with 200 meters of claimed water resistance. So you can see there, really nice thin mid case. It just looks excellent. There's even a little bit of turn down to it, which you don't really see from a case like this usually. So yeah, really happy with the way this thing wears. It's lightweight, it's comfortable, and I think it looks really good, even on my larger than average wrist. So I'm gonna go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. And here we are on my 7.5 inch wrist, and as you can see, it is a smaller watch, but I really do think it looks pretty good on me. I do like it a lot. It's very comfortable, really nice and slim, as you can see there, and then the light play off those little polished chamfers, and you know, under this oak tree, which watches usually struggle with, I think there's plenty of air coating on the crystal, so it keeps the dial nice and legible, not distracting or anything like that. So it's a pretty good crystal as well. Very, very happy with the way this thing wears. And popping out in some direct sunlight, you can see there that bezel just really pops in the Florida sun here. You can maybe see that there's just a little bit of a sparkle or something like that to the black dial. But yeah, I just think it looks really good. And again, plenty of air coating on that crystal. And here we are on a new strap. This is one I just got in the mail yesterday. I'm calling this the Smooth FKM. The link will be down below. You can get them on AliExpress for like $12, I think, and that's with this clasp. Really nice and comfortable, and I mean, they're just going to look good on a lot of watches. So super comfortable though. Definitely worth picking up. And here we are on another Smooth FKM strap. Yeah, the green and the red I didn't really think was going to work well, but I actually think it looks pretty good. And here we are on kind of a brown distressed leather strap. I had no issues with clearance, especially even on this strap. It's not a thin strap, so yeah, it's not rubbing on the case or anything like that. So yeah, this is just a strap monster. You should be able to go crazy with it. And I think that brown with the red really does look pretty nice. Again, I'll be leaving this link down below. The buckle is from one of my San Martins though, so. And lastly, here we are on a Cincy Strapco SF2 in Admiralty Gray. There's 2 layers underneath the watch there, and it's still sitting super comfortable on wrist. These straps are great, and that just looks really, really good. I had no doubts though. All right, let's go back inside and let's get back to this review. All right, so let's get real close. We'll talk about the case finishing. Case finishing is a mixture of brushed and polished surfaces, and I think it looks excellent. They did a very nice job on this thing. $100 is not what I expected a watch like this to look like. So on the top of the case here, you have a kind of angular brushing that goes diagonal across the top of the lugs there. Flipping it to the case sides here, you do have a horizontal brushing. I think it all looks really good, very consistent. Sometimes on these watches, this is where they start skimping out a little bit, and it's just not consistent all the way across. Here, it looks absolutely fantastic. And then separating those two surfaces, you have these really nice, sharp, high polished chamfers. They look really good. I mean, getting up real close, you can't see any bleed over at all. I mean, the transition sharpness is right up there with Sugas, and I won't say quite like San Martin, but still very, very high quality. It looks absolutely fantastic. I don't see anyone that can complain about that. You do have a signed screw down crown, 6.3 millimeters. It's a little tiny crown. Does tuck in there nicely. Pretty small for my fat fingers, but mostly I haven't had any issues with it. I think it's proportional to the case. It's definitely not sticking out too far, which I usually hate. So yeah, really nice signed crown. No issues there. But overall, I think it looks good. Even like these tips of the lugs, you know, usually you can get these things being pretty sharp, and they're not really sharp. Even this bottom edge here is not overly sharp. I've felt sharper from even like San Martin. So pretty happy with the case finishing on this. Flipping it over to the case back, sterile case back, circular brush, kind of got your coin edge style, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I've learned to deal with these things. A squishy ball works pretty good. Ball of duct tape also works pretty good. Someone did mention that these ones, they don't scratch up like the other ones do. So that's, I guess, an advantage to this style of case back. But everything feels good around here. It's not sharp or anything like that. Circular brushing on the bottom of the lugs as well. Everything has been rounded off and honed nicely. So it's a very comfortable watch to wear. And I think it's even aided by the light weight of it. So yeah, really happy with the case finishing on this watch. It's actually really, really impressive. So let's talk about the bezel insert on this thing. And the bezel, so we have an aluminum bezel insert. That was a conscious decision. They did that on purpose. Aluminum, I think, looks better. Obviously, it's not going to hold up as nice as sapphire or ceramic, but I think the bezel insert really benefits from being aluminum. It looks fantastic. They did a very nice job. It's a matte aluminum as well. You can see there, Lume pip at 12 o'clock, centered in there nicely. The alignment on this thing just spot on. Really, really happy with the bezel on this thing. I think it looks fantastic, and I think if it was a shiny red ceramic, it would kind of lose some of its charm. So I'm happy they went with this one. And you can see here, the bezel itself looks like a fully polished bezel, except in between those teeth is like a bee blasted finish. But again, really nicely finished on this thing. The alignment, like I said, is just spot on. The bezel action is actually really good. You have no back play in it, as you can see there, nice and tight in all directions. It's a 120 click unidirectional bezel, so the grip I think is pretty good. You can hear the clicks there. The clicks are nice and sharp sounding. They actually sound pretty high quality. I think the resistance is even all the way around. It just feels really good, and again, I mean, it just locks into place and there's no back play at all on this thing. So really happy with that. Yeah, the bezel on this thing kind of surprised me. It's one of their better bezel actions, and I think they found a manufacturer now that knows how to do good bezels, because this one, the 5512 and the new Sharkmaster, which I have right here for review, all have excellent bezels, and I think they're all coming out of the same factory. So they need to stick with this factory for at least for dive watches, because they do a really good job with those bezels. But yeah, really happy with the bezel on this thing. Like I said, plenty of grip. It gets a little thin at the 12 and 6 position here, but still plenty of grip. You could see there, wasn't really struggling to grip this thing. That coin edge really does give you plenty of grip, in my opinion. So yeah, the bezel on this thing is excellent. All right, let's talk about the crystal on this thing. First things first, we'll test it for sapphire. It is positive for sapphire, and it's actually a really nice crystal, clear and a reflective coating, and it is a very slight box dome. You can see there, so nice and clear even at the extreme angles. A little bit of distortion around the edges, but yeah, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. You can see it sits up above the bezel just a little tiny bit there, but it's actually a really good crystal. I've seen better ones, but I can't complain about this one, especially in a watch at this price point. That box dome sapphire I know is not cheap, and then the fact that they throw clear air coating on it really helps with legibility. I think it's a really good crystal for a watch like this. Really good crystal in general. Right, let's get close and we'll talk about the dial on this thing. So the dial is a matte black or a very dark gray. I think it looks really good. You have a printed half railroad minute track around the outside in gold. You have your Watchdives logo there in gold as well, centered very nicely on the dial. 200 meters, 660 feet down there at the 6 o'clock. So nice clean branding and lettering on the dial. Keeps it very uncluttered. The indices are applied very nice and straight. You got batons there at 3, 6, and 9. Big triangle at the 12 o'clock, and then circular indices everywhere else. You can see here the applied indices. They look great. These are in gilt. I believe the blue dial is just using silver, and it also uses BGW9 Lume. This one is using gold and faux patina. So yeah, really happy with the dial and the hands on this thing. There's no fluff under the dial or anything like that I saw. Even under macro, it still looks pretty darn good. So it's not perfect, but again, it's a $100 watch. You can't really complain too much about it. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. So it does have your typical style handset for a watch like this. You got your snowflake hour hand there and your minute hand there, which reaches right out to the minute track. Second hand reaches right out to the minute track as well. Very happy with the proportions on the dial. I think nothing really looks out of place. It looks great. You can see, I don't know if you can even see it here, but the daytime Lume color, very slight mismatch. I know the pictures kind of exaggerated it. I guess the hands, they are like a shade darker with the Lume color than the dial is. It doesn't bother me. There are some watches out there that have a pretty bad mismatch in Lume, and they do bother me. This one is not one of them. So if that was something you're worried about, unless you're super hypersensitive to something like that, I would say don't worry about it. For the most part, you just don't notice. So yeah, really happy with the daytime Lume color. Really happy with the Lume in general. I'm going to pop up a Lume shot here. You can see it against a couple other watches in the collection, which I consider to be really good lumed watches. So yeah, it holds its own. It does a really good job. I was able to read this in the middle of the night. Really no complaints. It got a really bright glow right off the bat, and then it fades evenly throughout the night. So yeah, pretty happy with the Lume on this watch, guys. It is actually really good. All right, time to talk about the movement in this thing. So the movement, really awesome. These VH31 sweeping quartz, you can see here, it's 4 ticks per second. You know, you don't have to worry about it hitting the numbers or the dashes. It just, it's the perfect solution in my opinion. 3 years of battery life. The stated accuracy on these things is about plus or minus 20 seconds per month. But in reality, everyday use, these things are much closer to like 2 or 1 second a month. So yeah, they're great movements. I have zero issues with them. They're going to be more durable than an automatic movement, I guess. So yeah, really happy with them. Again, signed screw down crown here at the 3 o'clock position. A little bit tiny. The grip is okay on it, but I do kind of run into the bezel just a little bit. So just something to note. You get a decent satisfying pop out there. First position does nothing. Second position hacks the movement. There's no ghost date position behind the dial or anything. So it's just a time only 3-hand movement, and it's fantastic. Good feeling in there. The crown pretty nice and sturdy as well. Put it in and it starts the movement up every single time. So again, no issues with it at all. Really nice, smooth screw in and screw out action. I've got no issues with the movement, no issues with the crown. Yeah, it's a good one, guys. All right, so let's talk about the bracelet on this thing. So far, everything has been very positive about the watch head. It is fantastic. So they're going to skimp out on the bracelet, right? Not really. The bracelet is actually pretty good. It's not great. It's not St. Martin level. It's not quite Sagesse level either, but it's definitely usable and wearable. And I've actually been enjoying it mostly on the bracelet. So yeah, really actually quite pleased with the bracelet on this thing. So it is 20 millimeters. It tapers down to 16 millimeters at the clasp. It is 3 solid links, solid end links, female pivot end links. So you can see there, nice and free flowing, that just drops straight down there. So this is going to fit even the smallest of wrists. Really happy with the brushing on it. I think it matches the coarseness of the brushing on the case. I think it looks really good. The fitment of the end links here, pretty nice and tight. I can feel just a little bit of wobble in there, but it's not something I noticed until right there. It follows the case curvature almost perfectly, as you can see there. really happy with the fitment on the end links. I think they look really good. They fit the case nicely. Yeah, they're good. Even the spring bars are nice and solid too. So sometimes when you get these cheaper watches and you take off the bracelet and put it back on, it's kind of a pain in the ass because those spring bars are so flimsy. Not on this one, they just kind of snap right into place. It reminded me a lot of San Martin and Sugas bracelets. That's how they do it. So yeah, really happy with the fitment of the end links, the spring bars, the links themselves, nice and articulating. No issues with it at all. You do have push pins. Sorry, there you go. You do have push pins for sizing. So I removed one link for my 7.5 inch wrist. This is a new clasp from a new manufacturer. I'm not totally sold on this one. Other people said they have no issues with the clasp, but I'm having a little bit of an issue with it. We do have 4 levels of micro adjust here. It's nice and thin, low profile. It's just a stamped outer shell with the branding on it. Nice brushing and polishing. So looks wise, everything is good. This tolerance here is pretty good, but I'm getting a lot of slop from these spring bars here. So the spring bar that connects to this part of it, I just get a lot of slop here. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but it just kind of wiggles around more than I want it to. It's very floppy, I'm going to say. I'd like to see a little bit of resistance in this hinge here, and there's just no resistance at all. And then again here, I guess another small or cheaper spring bar there. So if they could just beef up those 2 spring bars, I think it would help a lot with the feeling of this clasp. And then when I am putting it on wrist, I have a trouble from time to time with it actually closing. For the most part, it's fine. But yeah, I would like to see a little bit nicer of a clasp. But as far as the bracelet itself goes, I'm actually pretty happy with it. The tolerances seem pretty good. I'm going to say this is like an Addy's Dive. If you've had some of the Addy's Dive newer watches, the AD 2023, I believe, you know, that kind of style of case, or you know, those sand dune texture ones, it's kind of like that quality. So it's definitely usable. It's just not the best, and obviously you can't expect the best for $100 US. But the bracelet is actually much better than what you get on a Pagani design, which is kind of my cutoff point for a bad bracelet. I won't wear a Pagani on a bracelet, but I will wear this on the bracelet all day long. So there you go, guys. That is the Watchdives WD7922. I think a fantastic option for anyone looking for a small diver or a quartz diver. This is one that's going to be really hard to pass up. I mean, this thing is absolutely fantastic. I cannot stress it enough. If you're looking for a quartz diver, you're probably looking at a Casio Duro. This is a lot nicer than a Casio Duro, and it's not huge. I know some people like the bigger watches, but with this one, for $100 US, you're getting a really good sapphire crystal, you're getting really good lume, you're getting a really good bezel, you're getting really good case finishing, and you're getting a pretty decent bracelet. I don't see how anyone can complain about that, right? I mean, what a time to be alive, guys. We are spoiled to death by watches like this. If you can find something to complain about on this watch, you're looking really, really hard. So I know a lot of things are going to be subjective, but objectively, this watch is fantastic. So I think that's it for me. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.